high on the beach at Vanderbilt, Canada, then taken up to the farm storehouse.
We're only 3 miles from Oban here, but in winter it's as desolate a spot as you'll find anywhere in the Western Isles. The 15 tons of marijuana are unloaded on the beach behind me, and you can still see the tracks made by the trailer that carried them off the house. The boat was anchored out in the bay here. It was a large ocean-going tug that had made a non-stop voyage to here in Scotland from Colombia, South America.
The cow had accommodation for 40 people and was protected by an M16 machine gun. The tug had taken 3.5 weeks crossing the Atlantic from South America with its expensive cargo. This is just a quarter of the massive consignment that was smuggled in. These sacks are worth £5.5 million.
£5.5 million? Come on.
It wasn't for 3 months until March 1980 that customs men learned that vast quantities of Colombian grass were on sale in London. The gang were highly organised. They kept records on this computer. And they kept the paying-in slips for all the money they banked and then moved out of the country. £1,300,000 by the time the customs men stepped in.
And that's the thing, see, Curtis Warren, he has got no...
Howard Marks was accused of importing this massive amount of drugs and had to explain why he'd done the gang's accounts. During a lengthy Old Bailey trial last autumn, he explained his involvement by saying he was keeping an eye on the gang for the Mexican security services. Marks was acquitted.
Gave Marks legendary status in the British press. Brits loved it, the police hated it. And when a book came out detailing Marx's bravado and the government's bungling, drug cops around the world could only smolder. The fact that he was so vocal and so public with his escapades as a dealer, was he sort of working the noses and all of this? Okay. I don't think he left that nose in anything. One of the peculiar arguments that Mr. Marx makes is that the marijuana drug trade is sort of a kinder, gentler version of the cocaine heroin drug trade. You might add, I have not seen anything in narcotics traffic that was, as you say, kinder and gentler. I would like to find the first less violent narcotics trafficker so that I could put him in the Smithsonian. To finally put Howard Marks in a federal prison required an elaborate trap. At Marx's new home on the Spanish island of Mayorga, DEA agents wiretapped his phone, recording what they say are his cryptic drug deals. Then Anthony Monahan, an old chum of Marx and a notorious English lord implicated in everything from white slavery to murder, was brought in as a government informant. That's him on undercover videotape, arriving at a meeting he set up between Marx's brother-in-law and a DEA agent. That finally stung Howard Marks. Well, Anthony Monahan. You used to call him a friend. Good friend. What would you call him? The bad friend. Eventually, a jury will have to decide which of these two old friends to believe, the admitted drug smuggler or the convicted con artist. Either way, if Marx takes the stand, I would pay to be admitted to that portion of the testimony. He certainly will be worth, I can assure you of that. When Howard Marks finally walks into a Florida courtroom later this year to begin his trial, you can expect some surprises. After all, he seems to like it that way. Remember, in his 1981 trial in England, he pulled a legal rabbit out of the hat by convincing jurors he was a British spy. Well, this time, with his act playing on an American stage, he's already hinted to us that there's another trick on his sleeve.
You have to remember it's something like 7,000 tons of marijuana get into this country every year. The government doesn't know how. And of course they know how.
Marx will reportedly claim that drug shipments, including one that brought 4,800 pounds of hashish into the Alameda Native Air Station in California, were arranged with the complicity of unnamed U.S. military officials. Were there one military official involved?
More than one, yes.
And it happened in one military base, better than happened at others?
Yes, and in this case happened in the same military base, a naval station, more than once.
Though you might expect the DEA to deny that, don't. If the military base is not secured from drugs, where could anything be secured? Well, that's not that unusual. Every time that we have some kind of perception that military bases are bastions of minerals that are impenetrable, I will believe that. Obviously they're not. Still, Marx's magic show may be coming to an end. Despite his bag of tricks and his old disappearing acts, Howard Marx seems to know that America is in no mood for even a clever drug smuggler's sleight of hand.
If the Chinese had any other country in the world, I would get along. If it was held in America at any other time, I probably would get along. But at this time, in this place, I think the odds are against it.
Ladies and gentlemen, give a very warm welcome, please, to the one and only Mr. Nice, Howard Marks.
You all right? Okay. Well, thanks very much for inviting me. Give me a chance to be in Liverpool again. And I have to say now, like filling in a few gaps in that crazy fucking potted history of what some people thought it was like several years ago. When I was on the run, right, one of the places I came to hide was Liverpool. Because I disguised myself to look a bit like Roy Orbison did in the 50s, right? And in the pubs here, I just blended in perfectly, all right? I thought, you can't possibly be that twat on the papers, right? And so got to know the people here in a very special way, okay? Without them knowing who the fuck I was. Important. And then when I was in prison, yeah, I tried everything to get out of there. And one of the things I did was to get my family to petition the Attorney General in America and try to get me transferred to a British prison there. There were more signatures from Liverpool than the rest of the fucking country put together. I can't go any further than to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that, okay? Right. Now, just want to establish something. Have you all got everything you need?
Oh, I.
Have you? What? Now, in other matters, I have to urge you to support your local dealer. I haven't come here to step on anyone's turf. It's fucking Liverpool. Anyway, as you know, right, I didn't get away with that. I was right. The odds were stacked well against it. I didn't get away with it. In fact, I got fucked. Got fucked by the Yanks. Convicted of racketeering and sentenced to 25 years in prison. But I got out after 7. Had a bit of myself, really. But see, during those 7 years, I never knew if I'd ever get out. So I'd spend a lot of time wondering if I'd ever get out. And a lot of time wondering what I would do if I ever got out. That swung up and down a bit, oscillated, depending on the mood, depending on the day, oscillated, crests and troughs, and like a sine wave, in the middle of a crest, I'd think, there's a lady there. Look at the way that. In the middle of a crest, I'd think, fuck, if I ever get out of this fucking shit, I am going to bring into Europe the biggest load of the best dope that continent has ever fucking seen. Fuck 'em one more time. Disrespect freedom, stick it right up. And I thought I'd send a ton of shite to the Yanks. They could learn the fucking hard way. There were troughs too. And in the middle of the trough, I think, if I ever get out of this fucking shit, I don't want to come back here. If I ever get out of this shit, I'm going to go completely straight and never ever break the law again. Now, I have to admit that the crests were significantly wider than the troughs, one of those sort of things, which of course rendered it logically necessarily true that should I ever get released, the statistical likelihood would be that it would be in the middle of a crest, because they were that much fucking wider. Sure enough, when to my complete amazement, I did get released after 7 years. It was indeed in the middle of a crest. Right, now is my fucking chance. Now is my fucking chance to bring in the biggest load of the best dope when they least expect it. When they think I'm still suffering from cell shock or something. Do it now. Set about doing it. Highly motivated, okay, whichever way you interpret that, highly motivated. But see, a lot had changed, yeah, during those 7 years that I was banged up. Suddenly I had to confront things like computers. Okay? It's all the fucking prehistoric shit we were using. Computers, Windows, mice, stuff we weren't even allowed to read about, right, let alone play with. Mobile phones, well, they know where I am 24 hours a day. The fuck am I going to bring in the biggest load of the best dope? I can reprint all the text messages. Even the ones I sent to that bird the other night, I was only fucking joking. Phone boxes even were different. I had to learn how to drive again. Basically, I was finding ordinary, everyday life very difficult and irritatingly ponderous. So the amount of progress I was making towards bringing in the biggest load of the best dope was fucking slow. Like, really fucking slow. In fact, I was making no progress at all, really. I just didn't fucking get anything together, you know. And then suddenly, right out of the blue, I suppose like what must have happened really to Saul on his way to Damascus. I don't mean just an identity change, though. I mean, it's a word, revelation. Revelation, right? In one split second, I became instantly, immediately, completely